The entire galaxy shuddered in fear when humanity returned to settle the final score. For as long as anyone remembered, humanity had been the great unknown, the quiet force that grew stronger in silence. When they withdrew from the Galactic Council after the Orion dispute, most species believed it was the end of their ambition. The Terran Union sealed its borders, turned away from the Council's endless intrigues, and focused inward. Generations passed. Empires rose and fell. And Earth became a half-remembered legend. But legends are not so easily forgotten. When the Arcturon hegemony began its crusade across the Eastern Spiral, no one imagined it would lead to humanity's return. The hegemony called it unification, a cleansing fire to bring order to the Rim worlds. In truth, it was conquest, cold and relentless. The first worlds to burn were the Ilyari settlements, peaceful, mineral-rich colonies under Terran protection treaties signed long ago. The Ilyari sent pleas for help, each one more desperate than the last. 4 months, no answer came. The hegemony believed humanity too fractured, too inward, too cautious to ever intervene again. They believed no fleet would cross the void to stand in the way of their destiny. They believed wrong. In the cold reaches of the Kuiper shipyards, a single message arrived, encoded with priority markers not seen in over a century. It carried the old sigil of the Terran Union, a stylized Earth, surrounded by 13 interlocking triangles. Every dockmaster, engineer, and admiral who saw it felt the same chill of history returning. Reactivation order. Project Final Aegis. Authorization, Sol 1. At the edge of Neptune orbit, hangar doors miles wide split open. For the first time in generations, the Vanguard fleet emerged, 40,000 warships, many of them built during humanity's long silence, each more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever faced. Their hulls gleamed with obsidian alloys unknown to Council records. Each vessel carried weapons that had only existed as rumor: graviton lances, singularity torpedoes, anti-star cannons. When the Arcturon scouts glimpsed the first formations on deep-range sensors, they believed it was a glitch. By the time they confirmed the readings, it was already too late. In the Ilyari capital orbit, the last defenders prepared for annihilation. Their defense fleet, reduced to a handful of battered cruisers, drifted among the wreckage of a dozen worlds. Admiral Elin Sorinth, once a pacifist diplomat, stood alone on her flagship's bridge, watching the Arcturon dreadnoughts gather for the final strike. She closed her eyes and whispered a final prayer. Then a comms officer gasped. "Ma'am. We have incoming signatures. A lot of them." Elin turned to the tactical holosphere, and for the first time in months, she felt hope. From the darkness beyond the system's edge, a Terran carrier emerged. Then another. Then thousands. The Vanguard fleet had arrived. The Arcturon fleet commander, High Marshal Vadres, stared in disbelief as the human ships advanced. "Identify their flagship," he demanded. No one could. The entire formation defied known classifications. In the heart of the Terran spearhead, a single vessel eclipsed the rest, a dreadnought so massive it dwarfed even the ancient Leviathans. Its hull was marked with a designation that would become legend: TNS Retribution. Inside its command sphere, Grand Admiral Mara Kepler stood before a vast, rotating holographic projection of the system. She had waited her entire life for this moment, the day Earth's silence would end. She lifted her chin and spoke in a voice carried across every frequency. "This is Grand Admiral Kepler of the Terran Vanguard. Under ancient compact and solemn oath, we reclaim these protectorates. Withdraw your forces or face total annihilation." The Arcturans refused. In the cold mathematics of their doctrine, no species would ever dare challenge their dominion. No enemy could outmatch the hegemony. They were wrong. The battle began with a single command. Engage. The Vanguard fleet surged forward. Waves of Terran corvettes darted ahead, swarming the Arcturon flanks with precision strikes that severed carrier spines and disabled heavy cannons. Terran destroyers unleashed graviton lances that folded Arcturon cruisers in on themselves like paper. In the center, the Retribution's prow began to glow with a terrifying energy. The Arcturans attempted a counteroffensive, mass torpedo volleys and antimatter broadsides. But the Retribution's shields, driven by reactors the size of cities, drank in the bombardment without slowing. Admiral Kepler gave the final order. Primary weapon, fire. A singularity torpedo launched from the Retribution, an artificial black hole stabilized just long enough to reach its target. The Arcturan dreadnought formation imploded into a single point of infinite darkness, then vanished. No wreckage remained. Only silence. On every frequency, across every listening post and embattled world, humanity's message spread. The Terran Union had returned. Not to conquer. Not to subjugate. But to honor the promises it had never forgotten. When the last Arcturan flagship broke and fled, the Vanguard fleet did not pursue. Admiral Kepler transmitted her final declaration: to all nations who would burn the innocent, know this. Humanity has reclaimed its place among the stars. And we will not stand aside again. In the embassies of the Galactic Council, diplomats watched the reports in stunned silence. For centuries, they had spoken of Earth as legend. A ghost. A cautionary tale. Now, they understood the truth: humanity had never disappeared. It had simply waited, building its strength in quiet determination. And when it returned to settle the final score, the entire galaxy shuddered in fear.